The studio lights beamed down on the set of The View, where the co-hosts were seated in their usual semicircle, chatting animatedly about the day's hot topics. Whoopi Goldberg moderated with her signature calm demeanor, while Sunny Hostin and Sarah Haynes added their insightful comments. Joy Behar, known for her sharp wit and no-nonsense attitude, sat poised with a stack of notes in front of her. The audience buzzed with anticipation as the guest for the segment was announced, Charlie Sheen, the controversial Hollywood actor famous for his roles in 2.5 Men and his tumultuous personal life. Sheen strode onto the stage with a confident swagger, wearing a tailored suit and flashing his trademark grin. He shook hands with the hosts, exchanging pleasantries and light-hearted jokes about his past escapades. The conversation began innocently enough, with Whoopi asking about his recent projects and how he was doing post his well-publicized struggles with addiction and health issues. Sheen responded candidly, sharing stories of his recovery and new ventures in philanthropy. Joy interjected with a quip about his infamous winning phase, which drew laughs from the crowd. But beneath the surface, tension simmered as Joy's questions grew more probing, delving into his relationships with women and his public meltdowns. Sheen parried skillfully at first, deflecting with humor, but Joy pressed on, accusing him of not taking responsibility for his actions. The audience sensed the shift, murmuring as the exchange intensified. Sheen leaned forward, his eyes narrowing, ready to counter. Joy, undeterred, launched into a rant about celebrity privilege, citing examples from his life that she deemed irresponsible. The other hosts tried to steer the discussion, but it was clear this was heading toward confrontation. Sheen chuckled dismissively, which only fueled Joy's fire. She demanded he address specific incidents, like his fallout with CBS and personal scandals. The back-and-forth escalated, with Sheen questioning Joy's own history of controversial statements on the show. The atmosphere thickened, the live broadcast capturing every awkward pause and raised voice. Viewers at home watched in rapt attention, social media already lighting up with reactions. As the segment progressed, it became evident that this wasn't just an interview, it was a battle of egos between two strong personalities unwilling to back down. As the argument gained momentum, Joy Behar leaned into her role as the outspoken critic, firing off questions about Charlie Sheen's past behavior that left little room for evasion. She brought up his 2011 meltdown, quoting his bizarre interviews where he claimed to have tiger blood and be a warlock. Sheen smirked, acknowledging the absurdity but defending it as a low point he had overcome. Joy wasn't satisfied, pressing him on how such antics affected his family, particularly his children, and whether he regretted the public spectacle. The audience gasped at her directness, and Whoopi attempted to mediate, suggesting they move to lighter topics. But Sheen, feeling cornered, turned the tables, reminding Joy of her own on-air gaffes, like her comments on politics that had sparked backlash. He accused her of hypocrisy, pointing out how The View often sensationalized celebrity drama for ratings while preaching accountability. Joy's face flushed, her responses becoming more heated as she defended the show's integrity. Sarah Haynes jumped in to support Joy, but Sheen waved it off, delving deeper into Joy's personal views expressed in her books and interviews. He quoted a line from one of her stand-up routines that mocked Hollywood excess, twisting it to imply she was jealous of the lifestyle. The studio fell into a hush, broken only by sporadic applause from Sheen supporters. Joy shot back, calling him a has-been clinging to faded glory, which elicited boos from parts of the crowd. Sheen laughed it off, but his retorts grew sharper, exposing what he called Joy's faux outrage on various issues. The exchange devolved into personal jabs, with Joy questioning his sobriety and Sheen countering with remarks about her age and relevance in modern media. The producers in the control room scrambled, debating whether to cut to commercial, but the live nature kept it rolling. Viewers tweeted furiously, some siding with Joy's tough questioning, others praising Sheen's unfiltered comebacks. The tension peaked when Sheen revealed a supposed inside scoop on The View's behind-the-scenes drama, hinting at Joy's alleged feuds with co-hosts. Though unsubstantiated, it struck a nerve, and Joy's composure cracked visibly for the first time. Midway through the heated debate, Charlie Sheen escalated his offensive, drawing from his arsenal of quick-witted sarcasm to dismantle Joy Behar's arguments piece by piece. He mocked her liberal stance on celebrity accountability, suggesting she only targeted those who didn't align with her views, citing examples of guests she had fawned over despite their controversies. Joy interrupted, her voice rising, demanding he stick to the facts about his own life instead of deflecting, but Sheen was relentless, bringing up Joy's past marriage and divorce, implying she had no ground to lecture on relationships given her public admissions. The audience erupted in a mix of shock and laughter, with some cheering Sheen's audacity. Sunny Hosting tried to redirect, asking about Sheen's upcoming film, but the damage was done. Joy's eyes blazed with fury as she accused him of misogyny. Sheen countered smoothly, saying her attacks were the real bias, rooted in outdated stereotypes of male actors. He then pivoted to her comedy career, quoting critics who had called her routines dated and predictable, which hit home as Joy prided herself on her humor. The back and forth turned chaotic, with overlapping voices and gestures flying across the table. Whoopi called for order, but Sheen pressed on, revealing he had researched Joy's on-air slip-ups, like the time she mispronounced names or made factual errors, using them to question her credibility as a journalist. Joy slammed her hand on the table, exclaiming that this was unacceptable and that he was crossing lines. The live feed captured her trembling voice, amplifying the drama for millions watching. Social media exploded with hashtags like #Sheen vs Behar trending worldwide. Sheen, sensing victory, leaned back with a smug smile, challenging Joy to admit if her questions were genuine or just for show ratings. She hesitated, her usual quick retorts failing her. As the humiliation set in, the other hosts exchanged worried glances, realizing the segment had spiraled out of control. Producers whispered offstage, but the unscripted nature kept the cameras rolling, turning what was meant to be a promotional appearance into a viral spectacle of clashing titans. The climax approached as Joy Behar, red-faced and seething, attempted one last salvo against Charlie Sheen, accusing him of exploiting his mental health struggles for sympathy while avoiding real change. Sheen fired back instantly, calling her out for similar tactics on The View, where personal anecdotes often served as fodder for discussions. He delved into specifics, mentioning Joy's outspoken views on addiction from previous episodes, twisting them to suggest she lacked empathy for those in recovery. The audience was divided, some booing Joy, others applauding Sheen's boldness. Joy's voice cracked as she defended her positions, but Sheen interrupted with a killer line, "Joy, you've been sitting in that chair for decades, preaching from your ivory tower, but when's the last time you faced real accountability for your words?" The studio fell silent, the weight of his words hanging heavy. Joy stammered, trying to regroup, but Sheen continued, listing instances where her comments had offended groups, from conservatives to celebrities, implying she was the real bully. Tears welled in her eyes, a rare vulnerability for the tough comedian. Whoopi urged a commercial break, but Joy stood abruptly, her chair scraping loudly. "I've had enough of this nonsense," she declared, her voice booming through the microphones. Sheen watched with a raised eyebrow as she tore off her earpiece, tossing it onto the table. The cameras zoomed in on her stormy exit, capturing the stunned faces of her co-hosts. Sarah Haynes called after her, but Joy marched off stage, muttering about disrespect and humiliation. The live audience gasped collectively, whispers turning to uproar as the realization hit. Joy Behar was quitting on air. Producers rushed to fill the airtime, cutting to an unplanned segment, but the damage was irreversible. Sheen's expression mixed triumph and surprise, as if even he hadn't anticipated this outcome. Backstage chaos ensued, with staff scrambling to contact Joy, who reportedly stormed to her dressing room, slamming the door. The broadcast resumed awkwardly, with Whoopi apologizing for the disruption while hinting at more details later. In the immediate aftermath of Joy Behar's dramatic walkout, the set of The View descended into pandemonium, with co-hosts scrambling to regain composure under the glaring studio lights. Charlie Sheen remained seated, his face a mask of feigned innocence mixed with satisfaction, as he quipped to the remaining panel, "Well, that escalated quickly." Whoopi Goldberg, ever the professional, addressed the camera directly, assuring viewers that the show would continue and that Joy was just taking a moment. But social media told a different story, with clips of the argument going viral. amassing millions of views within minutes. Fans debated fiercely, was Sheen a hero for standing up to what they called Joy's bullying, or a villain for pushing too far? Celebrities weighed in, some supporting Joy's right to question, others praising Sheen's raw honesty. Backstage, reports leaked of Joy in tears, venting to producers about feeling publicly humiliated and disrespected on her own show. She allegedly declared she was done, refusing to return for the remainder of the episode or future ones. ABC executives held emergency meetings, weighing the PR fallout from losing a longtime host versus the ratings boost from the scandal. Sheen, meanwhile, exited the building to a swarm of paparazzi, offering cryptic comments like "sometimes the truth hurts" before speeding away in his car. The View's official Twitter account posted a vague statement about respecting all voices, but it did little to quell the storm. Late-night shows prepared monologues, with hosts like Jimmy Fallon and Stephen Colbert teasing skits about the showdown. Joy's representatives issued a brief release confirming her departure, citing a need for a break after years of service. Speculation ran rampant about replacements, from guest hosts to permanent additions. Sheen capitalized on the buzz, tweeting triumphantly and announcing a tell-all interview elsewhere. The incident sparked broader discussions on talk show dynamics, celebrity interviews, and the line between tough questioning and personal attacks. As the day unfolded, it became clear this wasn't just a TV moment, it was a cultural flashpoint reshaping daytime television. Days after the explosive confrontation on The View, the ripple effects continued to spread across the entertainment industry and beyond. Joy Behar's abrupt quit dominated headlines, with major outlets like TMZ and Variety dissecting every frame of the argument for clues. Interviews with insiders revealed that tensions had been building, with Joy reportedly clashing with producers over guest bookings, and Sheen's appearance being a flashpoint. Charlie Sheen, reveling in the spotlight, appeared on podcasts and radio shows, doubling down on his criticisms while expressing faux regret for Joy's exit. He claimed the exchange was authentic and necessary, arguing that shows like The View thrive on conflict but crumble under real pushback. Joy, in her first post-incident statement via social media, thanked fans for their support and hinted at future projects, perhaps a book or solo venture, without directly addressing the humiliation. Her co-hosts rallied around her in subsequent episodes, dedicating segments to her legacy and wishing her well, though ratings spiked curiously in her absence. ABC announced temporary fill-ins, sparking auditions and buzz about revamping the format. The incident prompted soul-searching in media circles about handling volatile guests and protecting hosts from over-the-line attacks. Sheen's career saw a resurgence, with offers for reality TV and memoirs pouring in, capitalizing on his bad boy image. Critics lambasted both parties, Joy for aggressive interviewing, Sheen for personal digs. Yet, supporters on both sides emerged, turning it into a polarized debate on free speech versus civility. Months later, retrospectives would label it a turning point for The View, leading to stricter guidelines and perhaps a softer tone. Joy eventually returned to public life with stand-up tours, poking fun at the ordeal in her routines, proving her resilience. Sheen, ever unpredictable, moved on to new controversies, but this clash remained etched in TV history as a raw, unfiltered moment of humiliation and defiance that captivated the world.